I haven't gotten my camera yet.
Oh, okay.
I can close that.
I really need you to proofread this article and make sure I didn't leave any spoilers in.
Well, I'd love to, but
I mean, not now, but later.
okay, yeah, I will. I think you misspelled the person's name.
I don't believe I did.
Grammy McMillan.
I believe I copied it from the very bottom. Graeme.
That's his name.
Uh-huh.
Her name. The person's name.
Dude, I copied it from the bottom, man.
Aye, man.
Seriously, it's that. I mean, if you go scroll to the bottom, it's there where I copied it from.
Okay. I mean, I'm down with it. I just didn't realize that's the dude's name or lady's name. The individual's name.
Preach it.
Yeah. All right. So we're Hulk and Nick Fury. Why?
Oh.
What?
That's not who we are. That's two things I want to talk about.
Oh, okay. Well, who are we then? Nick Saban and Kirby Smart.
Sure, one last time.
Yeah, one last. Hey, we're gonna get all of football out right now. We'll be done for the next 9 months.
Oh, it's not a Super Bowl.
Whatever. Is it a good brownie?
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yes.
How's your doctor's visit?
Dude, I'm literally hacking up a lung when she walks in. She's like, okay, you are sick, aren't you? I'm like, yeah. She's like, let me listen, make sure it's not bronchitis and pneumonia. I was like, okay. He's like, all right, we go over everything. Gives me a shot, writes me a Z-Pack. I'm out in like 15 minutes, man. Once I got back there.
Dude, that's just it, is like you're in and out once you get back there.
Yeah, I mean, I waited like 45 minutes to get back there. Once, dude, I was literally hacking up a lung when she walked in. She was like, okay, yeah, you're peace out.
Yeah, you're sick here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you this stuff so you don't get other people sick.
Yeah, she was like, she literally wanted to make sure it wasn't in my lungs, which it wasn't, which I was afraid of. So, once it was like, okay, all right, good.
Yeah, once it gets down your chest, it's bad news.
Right, and I was afraid it was getting there, but
yeah.
That's
when I go to the doctor. I'm like, because normally I can just, hit it with the Dayquil and you're good. But
yeah, it's not going away.
Yeah, after a few days, and if it's not really getting any better, just head on.
Yeah.
All right. I'm ready to hit it whenever you are.
Let me mute this so you don't got to listen to me.
Somebody's doing the podcast solo? Okay. Well, here we go.
I could have kept the mic on for that.
I'd rather you hadn't.
Dude. You made jokes, I almost unmuted it. I did everything but shove the vacuum cleaner up my nose. Like one of those little things that the dentist uses.
Oh, man. That sounds great. I wish I had one of those sometimes. I'm just like, yeah.
All right, here we go. Okay.
Why don't you just introduce it as January 2nd, since we're packing 2 weeks in?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Here we go. You counting?
I was just waiting on you. I thought you were going in.
Dude. No. I thought you were counting, man. I'm waiting on the count.
Okay.
Dude, you always count. What?
Okay.
Dude, I'm
both of us just got really quiet, so I was wondering what we were waiting on.
I'm like a trained monkey, man. I mean, you know, I'm not a trained monkey. You count, I go in, man. What happened?
All right.
There's routines, man. I live by routine.
3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 month behind podcast, the first one for 2018. Woohoo! Happy New Year. We're covering the comics of the last couple of weeks, the weeks of 12/18 and the weeks of 12/25, because we haven't been around, man. We've been out like partying and stuff. How you doing, man?
I'm good, dude. Did you have a good holiday?
I did. This week we are Kirby Smart and Nick Saban celebrating football one last time, you know, because they both won last night.
Both going to the national championship.
Yeah, one last round of college football.
Kirby Smart, heir apparent to the Alabama Nick Saban legacy, goes to Georgia, becomes his top rival.
Yeah. Yep.
You know.
Nick Saban still hanging around doing his thing at 66. He didn't act 66.
No, he doesn't look 66.
Dude, I hope I'm like that at 66. Man, people look at me and think I'm still like 50 or something. I don't look 50 now.
I mean, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that guy's, as we saw yesterday during the game, that guy's got, you know, some fire in him. So that's what makes me think he's not going to stop coaching at least for a couple more years.
You know, I think one of these years he's just going to, after one of these years, he's just going to say peace out and go live on Lake Lanier, man.
Yeah, which that's what he's planning on doing.
It is. It really is, man. He and Terry are just going to go hang out with the grandkids up there on the lake. He's
going to beat the Bears record and then hang his hat.
I completely think so.
Yeah, so that's what I think.
What'd you do for the holidays, man? Anything?
Dude, spent Christmas with the family. We, you know, did the whole Christmas thing, hung out all day, which I hadn't had a chance to do in a while. Watched Forrest Gump for some reason because my uncle really wanted to watch Forrest Gump. I don't know. It was good. I got this super cool annotated H.P. Lovecraft. It's a tome. It's massive, and it's all of his stories with like annotations and citations and things like that in it. Yeah, it's all broken down.
My sister got me this Batman encyclopedia. I think I sent you a picture out of it.
Oh, is that what that was? Okay.
Yeah. She got me a Batman encyclopedia. It's pretty cool. And dude, DC was having that big sale, and I got what I get. I got that Tom King Omega Man series from a couple of years ago. That was like 2015, 2016. I got DC Rebirth, the miniseries that launched that. And then I got a couple of classic things, man. I got like the Teen Titan Lazarus story from the 80s, and I got the Crisis on Infinite Earth series from the 80s. You know, the first time they like put that whole mess of their universe together. So I got 2 current stories and a couple of old stories from the 80s.
That's cool. I used some Amazon gift cards to buy some trades. I bought volume 1 of Grant Morrison's New X-Men, which, you know, I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah.
I bought the first volume of Joss Whedon's Astonishing X-Men. And I bought Batman Long Halloween.
We're such nerds.
We are nerds. Also bought the first trade of Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther.
There you go. It must
read the Long Halloween.
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, dude, it's really good. Jeff Loeb wrote it, and Tim Sale did the art. Yeah. It's kind of, it's not early days for Batman, but it's kind of, he's not, you know, people, they're still getting used to the idea of Batman running around Gotham, and it's before Harvey Dent is Two-Face, and they're trying to there's this killer who's murdering on holidays, and they can't figure out who it is, and they suspect the Calendar Man, but he's in Arkham, so it's not him. And it's like 12 issues collected in one edition, and you deal with a bunch of his rogues gallery, and the art is super cool, and there's like stuff going on with the Carmine Falcone family, and it's oh man, it's one of my favorite
I tell you
Batman
what it did
stories.
do is I'm getting into a couple of people. You know, Tom King did that Vision series.
Mhm.
And by the
We're
way,
going to
we're
talk
not
about
gonna
that
talk
just a
about
little bit. Well, we are just.
Well,
I'm going to mention it just a tad.
okay. He did that Vision series, and he did that Omega Men series. That's why I picked. First off, I love the Omega Men.
Oh,
But
really? Okay.
yeah, that
I'm not
Omega Men
familiar with it.
series is it's a Omega Men. Kyle, what he's the White Lantern. Kyle, the Green Lantern that became the White Lantern. Kyle,
Yeah, Kyle.
right? It's not Ratner. Anyway,
Kyle Rayner? Is it Kyle
Rayner.
Rayner?
Yeah, it's Rayner. Anyway, so it's those two. It's written by Tim King. That's the reason I picked that up. And the second thing I did over the holidays was I got into Mike. Is it Deodato? Is that how you pronounce his last name?
I think it's Deodato. Mike Deodato. Yeah.
I read a bunch of his stuff. He drew Original Sin, and he drew that screwed up Spider-Man story where Gwen Stacy gets pregnant by Norman Osborn. So I read that screwed up.
Oh,
story.
really?
Yeah, he drew that story. Dude,
okay.
Art was amazing, but he had like a 30 or 40 issue run on Amazing Spider-Man back in the day. And he actually drew that story. Fortunately, he's not to blame for writing it, but he drew it. And dude, that's amazing art in that book, man.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done a bunch of stuff over the years. I really like his stuff on X-Men.
Yeah.
He's one of the best artists out there right now.
That Original Sin stuff he did, man. It's just I'm going back and I'm on like issue 7 of it. It's really good, man. So yeah, it's kind of what I did for the holidays, man.
That's cool.
Yeah, I read some political stuff, and there you
go. Yeah. If you would like to tell us what you did this holiday season, please email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
I'm trying to get the website caught up on everything. Obviously, I took 2 or 3 weeks off, but it is www.6monthsbehind.com. Many of the things that we're going to talk about, you can find there. The Secret Empire 4 and 5, 3, 4, and 5 videos are there. 4 and 5 are combined. So if you haven't read 5, which came out like yesterday, don't look at Rob's video number 5 yet, or number 4 yet, because it's got 5 combined into it. So you'll get spoiled as to what happens in number 5. Matter of fact, I think the header may even spoil it for you. But they're there. If they're not there, they're going to be soon, because I'm literally, dude, I was working on it at work today, and like our whole internet system went down. I'm just sitting there, and like I was talking to you, I think I was texting you, and like I've got like 20 minutes of work done on this one page, which is this Marvel story we're going to talk about, and it goes down and didn't save it. And I'm just like, seriously. And I'm getting this, I'm even getting this this note from Bluehost saying, we're saving your work. And I'm realizing I don't have any service and it can't save it because it ain't there. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm just like, really? And I sit there for like 30 minutes before I left to go to the doctor, which is why I sound bad. Thinking if it would come back up, it would save it. And it never came back up before I left. And it was just trash. Yeah. I had to refix it before I came home. Anyway.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it was a bummer. But it's there on the website. It's going to be there. So, there you go.
Yeah. But specifically, it was regarding what kind of just the dumpster fire year that Marvel Publishing has had.
Oh my gosh, man. It literally went month by month recapping the year that Marvel's had. And what I did, and I don't do this very often because I don't like plagiarizing people's work line by line, but I did it in this case. And I gave the guy, it's from the Hollywood Reporter, and the article was there, and there's a tab, and I give the guy credit. I got his Twitter or his email there, his name there, her name, whatever it is. So you can go read the full article if you wanted to, but I deleted the spoilers that are in it. So there's like 3 spoilers. There were a couple of the ending of Secret Empire, one regarding Marvel Legacy, and the rest of it is things you can read, and you just realize how bad their year was, man. I mean, every time they turned around, they were messing something up.
Yeah.
It was a disaster, man.
And like we knew about it, but when you read about it, just like when it broken down into, hey, here's the PR disaster they had in April and May and June and July.
It's just, and it's like, no, man, it's like January, February, March, May, June, July, August.
Yeah, I mean,
September, it just kept going, man.
They had that whole thing with the digital codes that everybody hated, and then it was Axel Alonso saying what he did about artists and how they don't sell, and the whole diversity debacle, and then you had Secret Empire, which wasn't well received. There was the artist who put anti-Semitic messages into his art in X-Men Gold. I mean,
and I didn't realize that so they fire Alex Alonso, and I never grasped the fact that their new editor-in-chief, what he actually did, I thought Marvel was aware that he was simply selling the books in Japan under a different name.
Under a pseudonym.
Sell better in Japan. No. He was working for Marvel under his name and submitting the books under a different name to Marvel without Marvel being aware of it.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, is like when it first broke, I was like, okay, I don't like, writers use pseudonyms all the time. I didn't understand what the big deal was, but then I got into it and I was like, oh, he was stuffing his pockets. Is what he was doing.
Dude, Marvel still yet to address that. They hired a guy from Image who apparently they were fully aware of the sexual harassment claims against this guy when they hired him, and they hired him anyway in December with everything that's going on.
Right. Like when that lightning rod is being struck by lightning, you reached out and grabbed it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, dude, it's just bad, man.
I don't know who's making the decisions here, but something has got to change.
And through it all, their sales are horrible. I mean, somewhere in there, you can, because I read a different article, but it's referenced in here, and somewhere there's a link, you can click on it. Dude, their sales are bad.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of years ago, their sales of their best-selling books were hanging out around like 50 to 100,000. Okay. Now their best-selling books are around 20,000. And they're keeping books that are around 5,000. Dude, it's a grease fire. The top 10 books, 7 of them were DC's. The 3 that were Marvel were all gimmick books. It was like, one of them was like something that was a box stuffer. There was a giveaway at a comic show. One of them was like Secret Empire #0, and another one was something else that was a gimmick book. It was like one of the alternate special cover books. I mean, dude, they did not have a best-selling book in the top 10.
Yeah. And understand, comic book sales, as we talk about them, are down across the industry. But Marvel in particular has really fallen from grace. I mean, just 2 or 3 years ago, they were on top of, the top 10 comics of the month would be, 8 or 9 of them would be Marvel books.
Well, and that's what it references is, I think since like, it was either 2014 or 2015, the top 10 has completely flip-flopped.
Yeah.
Because just a few years ago, that top 10 was completely dominated by Marvel, and now they're literally not in the top 10 without a gimmick book.
Right. And, DC went through hard times like this, and I think Marvel will figure it out, but they got to figure it out quick.
They got to figure it out, man. And the worst part is, as recently as last week, and I know you wanted to talk about this, as recently as last week, they continue to make stupid mistakes, because last week they canceled a lot of books, and the list is in our article. You may have the list somewhere else, but they canceled basically the books that they talked about in March that they caught flack for. Go ahead and read the list if you have it.
Let's see. Captain Marvel, Generation X, America, The Unbelievable Gwenpool, Luke Cage, and the Defenders, along with Iceman. Yeah.
Now here's the thing about these. Here's the thing about those books. Those are all books that have characters of diversity in them, that are either characters of color or characters of that are
female characters,
female or gay. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're either characters of diversity, they're female or they're gay. But those books are in some cases selling better than, say, Old Man Logan, All New Wolverine, several books that weren't canceled.
Right. And but the problem was that, and I saw some of this. Joe Quesada likes to talk to his fans on Twitter, and it kind of blew up there. You know, his defense was, we're cutting these books because the sales are bad, but they've got other books that who with comparable sales that aren't getting axed. So clearly that's not the motivator. What's the motivator? And like, look, you want to cancel Gwenpool, I'm fine with that. But that Iceman book is really good. That America book is really good. It's not my cup of tea. It's a little out there for me, but it's good. And you, there are, Defenders, I think, is more because Bendis is leaving. And also the impression I got from Brian Michael Bendis himself on social media was that that's coming to an end because of his health problems that he's had lately.
Sure.
So they're just like, look, you're on the way out. Let's just take one thing off your plate.
Yeah.
But there's the problem of diversity in comics has plagued Marvel in particular, not just this year, but in recent times. And it doesn't seem to hit the other publishers nearly as much. And I just have to wonder why.
It's something I do not have an answer to. I simply don't, man.
And a lot of it is because Marvel's not necessarily good at it. I feel like they've gotten better with it lately. We'll talk about how Bobby Morse is showing up in everything lately, here shortly. But in particular, I was reading The Iceman yesterday, and that book's really good. And I don't understand why they're canceling it.
I don't know. I really want to go back and look at the sales figures, and I simply haven't taken the time in the last couple of weeks to do it. I've been meaning to do it, and it's something that takes me time to do, is to crunch those sales figures and put them on a spreadsheet and look at them, and I haven't taken the time to do it.
And Joe Quesada said on Twitter that, if a book finds an audience, it'll sell. But I don't understand how. Basically, what the response to the criticism was, hey, we're canceling this book because you didn't buy it. But one, you look at the sales figures, and that doesn't really bear out. But at the same time, how do you know if a book's found an audience when you've canceled it before the third issue's been published?
I don't know, man.
Especially when you consider people wait for trades more often.
I don't know.
I really think there's a lot of garbage in this issue that we can discuss, but one of the contributing factors to this crap is like we keep going back to the business model. The business model just doesn't make sense anymore, and that's reflected by the fact that sales are down over year over year in single issues all the time across the board. And I think it's for this medium to survive, you have to make the format change.
Yeah, I totally agree. We discussed this ad nauseum, both on and off the air. I think you have to.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard, but the stores that will adapt will adapt. Many of them have already done so, as you notice with what's the name of your comic book store? It's just, to you, it's just Jason's, but
it's a Comic Cellar here in Memphis.
The Comic Cellar.
He may have changed the name. It may just be the Cellar now, but I still believe it's the Comic Cellar.
Right.
Yeah.
But, as you can tell, he's already diversified, and he's running a booming business, man. He seems to be doing all right.
I drove by on Sunday night. Let's see. It was 7:00 on a Sunday night, 3 days before Christmas.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's think about this. 7:00 on a Sunday night. First off, how many comic book stores do you know that are open at 7:00 on a Sunday night?
Right.
Okay. It's 3 days before Christmas. Brother, the parking lot was packed. Renee and I actually slowed down and tried to count the cars and the number of people in his store, and I couldn't. There had to be 30 people in there playing games. And he's turned it into a gaming store along with his comic books. So between the board games and the comic books, he's found a niche in the marketplace.
Yeah. Plus, they're hanging out there all the time, buying
Yeah.
snacks and drinks and stuff.
Buying snacks, drinks, comic books, cards, games, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we got to move on, or we're going to be talking about this forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to touch on a couple of these things. We'll skip that sorting thing, but the awards have come out for the end of the year. You and I have discussed the fact that we don't get the Hulk book. Dude, that thing won 2 or 3 awards this year. That She-Hulk book?
Really?
It did. I don't understand it. It was like best writing, best scripted series, best series. It's like, what?
Maybe it's something we haven't gotten to yet, or maybe it's
No, man. I mean, it's it's like issues 1 through 12, and we're like on issue 7 or 8. I'm like, okay, I must have missed something.
Maybe I need to go back and reread it as a whole.
I think I could read it upside down and wouldn't get it. And the Nick Fury series one also.
The Nick Fury series, I understand.
I think the artist won. I think the artist won some, and then the series as a whole won some also. I forget what it was. It was like best scripted series or something, but it won some also.
That Nick Fury book's fun. We'll go ahead and talk about it now. It's a lot of fun. It's fluff, and it's not a lot of substance, but it's it's spy stuff with cool art. That it's James Bond on the page.
Yeah, back in the day, Steranko,
Jim
Steranko, thank you, did the art, and it was really a groundbreaking style when he did it back in the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this is.
It's an homage to that for sure.
It is, and it's fun book. I mean, it's not deep thinking, heavy stuff. It's just kind of a fun book.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah,
I like stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, what's not a light fun book is Secret Empire #4.
No, but let's talk about that Captain America book first, because it actually takes place before Secret Empire #4.
But before we do, go ahead. We do discuss spoilers. We're gonna talk about a bunch of Secret Empire stuff, so strap in.
Yes, because I'm about to give you one right now. This book begins with Namor, and that's why we're talking about it now, because this book takes place before Secret Empire #4.
Yeah, you need to read this to set up for 4.
Yeah, in the first couple of pages here, there's this dude behind Namor, and you've seen him a lot. He's coming out and he's talking to Namor, and he's telling him that, Steve Rogers is fixing to make his speech. Have you ever noticed Namor with a human bodyguard before?
Yeah, no.
A human bodyguard before?
No.
And there's a scene, I think it's at the end of this book maybe, where this dude gets between him and Captain America. He wants to throw down, man. There's a lot of dead and missing superheroes. You notice that?
I hadn't really thought about it till now, but sure.
There is. And this guy could be one of them.
Not
a lot of money counted for.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Just you might want to think about that. It's just might want to put your brain to it.
Now I'm gonna go look at the book.
Okay. It's not revealed for several more issues, but it's just something you might want to put your brain to. So Namor's sitting there contemplating it, and what's happening here is the UN is of course based in New York, and they can't meet in New York because Captain America is holding all of New York hostage, so he's going to speak to him in Brussels, and they think they're about to have a two-way conversation, and Steve Rogers is going to explain to him that this isn't going to be a two-way conversation. It's going to be a one-way conversation. He is going to, yes.
Yeah. He goes full strongman.
Yeah. He says, this is the way it's going to be. And, if you don't like it, I'll just come stop you. Hydra doesn't need you. I don't need you. This is the way it's going to be. Yeah. And kind of stomp some people in the process. And along the way, I've read this like 4 times now. Who are these people that are? I guess these people are in France that are kind of leading a rebellion against Hydra.
Yeah, it's Captain Britain's there, and it's all the British heroes.
Yeah, they're kind of rebelling. He's not really.
Yeah,
down with
as he's making the speech in front of the UN, Hydra's essentially invading the major cities in Europe.
Yeah. And right in the middle of his speech, T'Challa kind of takes over the screens there
Yeah.
and explains that, he's trying to invade Wakanda, what is it, 3 times?
Yeah, Arnim Zola, and like Black Panther rips Arnim Zola apart himself, as
Yeah.
we see.
And T'Challa's like, hey, man, why don't you just come on over yourself and,
We'll hash this out.
Yeah, come see this yourself. And, and as he's walking out, he says the day can't get any worse. And Namor's there waiting for him. And if you look there at the bottom of page 19, all of Namor's bodyguards are, of course, Attilan. Is that correct?
No. Atlantean.
Atlantean, thank you. Except for the one white dude, the one surface dweller.
Yeah, the one human.
Yeah, the one human. Okay. And they start talking because Steve wants that piece of the cosmic cube that Namor says he doesn't have. And Namor says he isn't going to give it to him. And that one human just kind of gets a little testy with him.
Yeah, I'm noticing this now. I didn't think anything about it at the time. But yeah.
Matter of fact, Captain America kind of calls him his watchdog.
Yeah. And brings his own evil Avengers team in.
Yeah, brings the Avengers in. And from there, we go to Secret Empire number 4.
Yeah. By the way, this like Arnim Zola, mind-controlled Scarlet Witch, Taskmaster, Black Ant, and Superior Octopus team is really cool.
Yeah. There's we'll discuss it somewhere. Anyway, we'll discuss it sometime.
Okay. Did you ever watch the most recent Spider-Man cartoon on Disney?
Dude, it's one of those things that gets DVR'd all the time, and somehow I just never find time to watch it.
They did this whole Hydra octopus thing in that cartoon, and it worked really well. And I'm glad to see it move over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Secret Empire number 4. There are a number of scenes in this book. We'll just go through each one. But there's one, the centerpiece, that is particularly interesting. So help me understand this first scene. You've got hobo Steve Rogers walking around the woods when he's suddenly attacked by a living laser, Batroc, and some other guy. And then Bucky and Sam Wilson show up and kick their butts. And did they just run into each other in the woods? Like, what's going on here?
Well, what you have to discuss or discuss, what we need to discuss is what these 3 people have in common, which they've all been Captain America before. You can look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
They've all held the Cosmic Cube before. You can look at it that way. At this point, 2 or 3 of them are dead. You can look at it that way. Or have been dead. You look at it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are the things they have in common.
But is this Sam Wilson and Bucky not the Sam Wilson and Bucky we know?
It's Sam Wilson and Bucky.
Okay. All right.
Or it's Sam Wilson and Rick Jones, I think.
Oh, is it Rick Jones?
I don't think it's ever really defined.
It looks like Bucky. That's who I thought it was. And also he's got both his arms, so it's either one of them. It's, this is alternate universe, guys.
Yeah.
Probably. I'm just guessing. I don't know. I haven't read it, so that's technically not a spoiler. I really don't know.
I don't either.
I do, however, know how Spider-Man 2 ends, and that's interesting. Anyway,
what?
Spider-Man 2, it's a upcoming Spider-Man series from Bendis. Well, it's already on the stands, but we'll get it in like 4 or 5 months. It's picking up on a plot line he left dangling when he left Ultimate Spider-Man.
Did you ever read that book I sent you the code for?
The Phoenix Resurrection? I haven't yet.
Oh, thank you for spoiling it for everyone.
Oh, Dude, it's major news. Sorry.
Okay.
We talk about spoilers on this show, remember?
You were warned. Okay.
So this next scene is Frank Castle, the Punisher, in his Punisher lair, working for Hydra.
Yeah.
And it's not, you might for a minute go, what? He's, Frank Castle's working for Hydra. But then you have to understand his relationship to Captain America. Frank Castle has always had the utmost respect for Captain America and will do whatever Captain America tells him to do. And that includes hunting down the Black Widow.
This was discussed a lot at the time, and it's discussed later in one of the books, which Frank Castle wants to eliminate villains, and he wants to eliminate anyone who's in his way of eliminating villains. So if Captain America, Steve Rogers, is giving him the opportunity to put lots of bullets in villains' heads, well, that's fine.
Yeah, that's how he rolls.
There you go.
Yeah. Captain America walks up to the Punisher and says, I'll let you kill every crime lord in the 50 states. You have my express permission, and I'm not going to come after you to do it. Well, what do you think he's going to do?
Sure.
Plus, it's Captain America.
Yeah, he's going to rack up a huge body count.
Right. Captain America is going to appeal to his sense of duty or whatever, and, all the soldier talk, and he's going to fall in line.
Yes.
Meanwhile, while the Punisher is hunting for Black Widow, she's teaching an important lesson to our young Avengers / the champions here. They're essentially, she's torturing this Hydra agent, and they come into the room. And they're like, look, that's enough. We're not into torture. That's not what we're going to do. And they decide to let him go. And as soon as they untie him, he immediately tries to kill one of them. In fact, he almost stabs, I think it's Amadeus Cho. I think he almost stabs Amadeus Cho in the chest.
Yeah.
And Nadia shoots him. Not Nadia, Natalie. Black Widow shoots him, and she's trying to teach a lesson. That there are lengths in the face of such threats. Sometimes you have to do things you would otherwise not do. And how do you feel about, how do you feel about that sort of going to those kind of lengths? In the face of such threats?
We've discussed this before. I don't want to, but I don't want to. But in that situation, you do what you have to do.
Right. But the argument against, and I agree with you, but the argument is, at what point do you stop? At what point are you just the other version of them?
I don't know.
My point would be, we're not trying to dominate the entire world and, kill mutants and Inhumans, and we're not the ones rounding up Inhumans and invading other countries and bombing major cities into oblivion.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's Nick Spencer. And you and I have discussed this before. Nick Spencer took a lot of criticism for this book because all anyone saw is he turning Captain America into a Hydra agent.
Right. But
the thing is, Nick Spencer is the same guy that's writing Captain America Steve Rogers. He's the same guy that's writing Captain America Sam Wilson. Okay, he's the same guy that's writing all these books, this whole story arc. And everybody immediately judged what he did with Steve Rogers and leapt conclusions, and probably rightfully so. Okay, given the political climate, given the world climate, probably rightfully so. But what he's wanting to do is make you think about these things.
Yes, that's the whole point, is it's asking these big questions that there's no possible way that Nick Spencer, when he came up with this idea, could have predicted what happened in the world.
Right. And he's trying to, he's encouraging you to think. And that's what he's wanting you to do. And these are very complicated, very serious questions. And you're about to get into the Hank Pym things. And as you get into the Hank Pym scenes, you see what he's doing with Hank Pym. And you realize possibly Hank Pym is the only sane one here.
Right.
And you're like, as you get to reading, you're like, holy cow. Maybe Hank's the only one that's left sane. Not Steve, not Tony, Hank. What? How did that happen? Where did we turn that page?
Speaking of, so apparently, just before the Hydra invasion or the Hydra takeover, Hank Pym / Ultron returned from space and has been setting up techno cities in Alaska and the upper reaches with just Ultron robots. He's creating a an Ultron kingdom. And it turns out that he has one of the fragments of a cosmic cube. So Steve is going to go get it, and the Avengers are going to go get it. And they meet en route.
And they're both telling their teams, absolutely, this is not Hank Pym in no shape, form, or fashion. This is absolutely Ultron. It is in no way Hank Pym.
Yeah, this is Ultron with wearing Hank Pym's face. Don't be fooled. And Hank Pym is awaiting them. What are we calling him? Are we just calling him Hank Pym or Ultron or
Pymtron?
Pymtron. Okay, Pymtron. So Pymtron's just he's waiting for them, and he's anticipating both teams. And understand, it's all of the Avengers. I mean, this group that is getting together are many of them are core members of the Avengers. By the way, Bobby Morse is all up in this book, and I don't know if you've noticed, but ever since her solo book got canceled, she's just showing up in all the other books. She's in this, she's in Spider-Man, she's in that Wasp book. She was in Doctor Strange recently. And, for all the crap that we give Marvel about diversity, yeah, that the solo book stopped happening, but she's being portrayed in really cool ways in lots of corners of the Marvel universe right now.
Right.
So they run into Tony Stark's underground Avengers run into Steve Rogers' Hydra Avengers and duke it out when Ultron shows up and says, knock it off, and incapacitates all of them, and they all come to sitting at a table in a replica of Avengers Mansion awaiting dinner with Pymtron.
By the way, this is possibly one of the best lines of the series, where Tony looks at Steve and says, I'm not going to lie, I'm actually very excited about the prospect of kicking your ass and nobody being mad at me for it afterwards.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't really jive with that the first time I read it, but now I see what you mean. But yeah, so there's let's see, Captain America, Thor, Vision, Iron Man, Sam Wilson, Bobby Morse, all the Avengers are there, and they're gonna have a nice, lovely dinner with Ultron / Hank Pym. And it becomes this discussion of you're all crazy, and everything you do, you try to help, but really you just make everything worse. And Tony doesn't like that, so he starts screaming at Ultron. It's a lot of ego, a lot of egos clashing. Also, I think Tony gets up in his face because he knows if he destabilizes him, he'll make a mistake and they can beat him. And also, Tony's just an AI projection in a suit of armor, and he's expendable. So if Ultron destroys him, he's not really going anywhere. Anyway, a bit of a fight breaks out. There's a really cool scene between Pym and Scott Lang, who's Ant-Man, and kind of the legacy of Ant-Man. Anyway, somehow they all managed to make it out of their unharmed. And then we see Captain America show up. And apparently he and Captain America, Hank Pym / Ultron and Captain America, have a little deal worked out, or did. So the Tony's Avengers, rebellion Avengers are successful in retrieving the shard of the cosmic cube from Hank Pym. But as we see here at the end, Steve Rogers basically forces Namor to bend the knee and hand over the shard of the cosmic cube. Which, first of all, that's something that Namor isn't going to. He's not going to forget that anytime soon. And if he ever gets a chance at revenge, he's going to take it.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, it was good. It was a meaty 40 pages.
Yeah, it was very good. Yeah, and that's the thing about this book, man, is it is not. Every one of these issues is 35 to 40 pages, and dude, it is not short, man.
No, it's a lot of dialogue. It's a lot of heavy themes, and yeah, it's as you said earlier, this book received a lot of criticism, and I understand it, but I think once you get past the veneer of Captain America is a Nazi, it gives you a lot to think about.
Yeah. Okay, I'm having to remember why I put Secret Empire United #1 on here, and I remember now. Okay. All right. Yeah. Once you get past, why Secret Empire, why him being a Nazi, there's a lot to think about, man. And and I told you months ago, you just got to give it a chance. And that's what so many people didn't do, is they didn't buy it and they didn't give it a chance. They just kind of, wrote it off.
They read the articles on the internet and wrote it off and blew it off. Yeah.
Right. And just blew it off and said, that's that. And yeah, and really missed an opportunity.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Because I think right now, and Nick Spencer never could have predicted this, but I think that this series at the time that it happens, that we're seeing it, is almost prescient. I think it's an appropriate thing. It's appropriate things for us to be thinking about.
Yeah, it is. Secret Empire United #1. This is one of the books that I missed when this was coming out. And it's probably one of the most important books that you'll read regarding Secret Empire. Did you read this book?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm going to try and do this quick so that this isn't a 3-hour podcast, because we're covering like 50 books and 2 weeks worth of books.
Yeah, we're covering 2 weeks worth of books, and it was like 25 each, so it's literally about 50 comic books.
Yeah. Basically,
which, by the way, we're not talking about a lot of them. We're just going to mention the heavy hitters and then be like, okay, this came out too, so don't worry.
This begins in New 10, and Sunfire is kind of angry and doing his thing, and you see the Hydra Council, and they're saying that the border is not secure, and they want Steve Rogers to do something. And then you've got the council at New 10, and Zorn is, of course, in charge. And we discussed a few weeks ago the history of Zorn and who Zorn really is or isn't, because I really didn't know what was happening here. I knew the end result, but I didn't know how this book was going to transpire. So they discussed whether or not to go get Zorn, and they decided to send Magic in there and go get him, which they do. They meet with the Avengers. They have a fight. They get him out of there. And, when they do, of course, the Hydra High Council isn't happy about it. And what happens is Captain America himself decides to go to New 10 by himself and meet with Zorn by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And when he does, and he and Zorn are one-on-one, you realize that Zorn is merely a puppet being controlled by Emma Frost.
Yep.
And that what happens with Emma Frost is she realizes she shows Steve that Dr. Faustus is actually undermining some of Steve's work, and shows where, some of his people are being controlled to him, and he's actually got a few problems on his own.
Right. Dr. Faustus is going rogue and he's pursuing some of his own agenda.
Yeah.
Which doesn't jive with Steve's.
Yeah. So, and by the way, I think she also gives him a piece of the cosmic cube.
Yeah. Isn't he specifically like provoking a war with the mutants? That's like Dr. Faustus's thing. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And Steve's like, nah, dude, like, we're cool for the moment. We'll deal with them later.
Yeah.
And yeah, she gives him a piece of the cosmic.
Yeah. And, so Steve comes out with a piece of the cosmic cube and everybody's happy. And nobody knows that, nobody knows that Emma Frost is in charge. And I think the Beast does. I'll go ahead and spoil that for you. I think the Beast does, and he's the only one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Emma Frost is actually behind the scenes pulling the string on all this, and the only two people who know it, or three people who know it, are the Beast, Captain America, and Emma Frost, which is a really cool book, because I think this is the only issue where you actually get this explained.
Okay.
You see it in other places later on. You see Emma Frost, but you never see it explained how she gets there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see some of Zorn's behavior in an earlier book, I think. Or maybe it's early in this book, and it's very un-Zorn like. And so it makes sense that it's Emma Frost behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good book. A lot of the Secret Empire stuff's been really good. Not all of it. But most of it's been pretty good.
No, there's a list at the end that we're going to run through, that, and not all of it is.
Yeah. What is good is Deadpool number 32. Now, you told us about this ahead of time, saying this was going to be really good stuff tying into Secret Empire, and you weren't kidding.
Yeah, man, it's spiraling downhill on him, brother.
So apparently, Deadpool has a daughter, which I didn't know.
Yeah. Yes. See, and Preston has been in charge of keeping care of his daughter. Preston's not his mother. She's kind of like his daughter's foster mother.
Mm-hmm.
But she's been in charge of taking care of his daughter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did he just kill Preston? Didn't Preston just die somewhere?
Is that what happened in this book?
Not in this book, but
well, we'll see what happens.
Okay. Somewhere she died or is going to die. Maybe that's a spoiler and I didn't know it, but anyway, he's taking care of her and taking her to school now that they live in DC because he's working for Hydra. And he drops her off at school and goes to his day job of, hunting Avengers. And he's riding his motorcycle and they're burning, there's Hydra agents burning books on the street corner. And it's all very, it looks like something you'd see in France in 1941. Anyway, they've got him hunting these underground Avengers, which is basically the champions and the young Avengers. So he's out hunting them, runs into some dude in a blue suit who I don't know, and they get into a fight. I don't know who this dude is.
Oh, that's the dude from the New Warriors. That's Speedball.
Oh, okay.
Also known as Penance.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, he's looking for these Avengers everywhere, and eventually he finds them at the Mount. He sees
he sees Hawkeye and
Quicksilver.
Yeah.
And he finds them there, so he's found the Avengers base. Well, he goes back to DC to report back to his Hydra bosses, and he says, "Hey, the Mount, yeah, cross it off the list. They're not there."
Yeah.
So, whose side is Deadpool really on?
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Is
there a Deadpool book out this week or is it next week? Let's see.
This week.
I don't know. Okay.
Maybe it is this week.
That's strange. I don't either. I'm interested in reading it. Doctor Strange 22 continues continues this whole Wilson Fisk, Spider Woman, Doctor Strange story. Man, it's great.
No, but Secret Empire 5 is out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Secret Empire 5 is good.
Cool.
Somewhere around 5 or 6, it really starts picking up speed. Because there was a lot of criticism.
Dang, I knew it. Oh, I'm sorry. Kerryon Johnson declared for the NFL.
Oh.
That's kind of why everybody speculated he didn't travel with the team.
There's a lot of criticism that it kind of drug in the middle, along about 4 and 5, but about 6 or 7, it really starts picking up speed. Here in Doctor Strange 22, we've still got Wilson Fisk, and they're riding around in a gold-plated Wilson Fisk golf cart, and they wind up at Fisk Tower, and Fisk has promised to take Doctor Strange to a place where magic is, where there's a lot of magic artifacts. And they go to this lady's house, I guess, or apartment, whichever. And they go in, and I don't know who she is. I've never seen her before. I'm not big into magic. That's your thing. Maybe you know. But and they have to face
oh no,
Tiger.
I have no idea.
Dude, and that's some amazing art there on page 15, man. Where that tiger is, there's some good art in this book. So they finally get in there to where the artifacts are. And Doctor Strange is like, don't touch it. Just don't touch any of it, because apparently it's all some kind of, it's not just black magic. It's some kind of blood black magic.
Yeah.
And don't do it. Don't do it now. Don't touch anything. And of course, Wilson Fisk doesn't touch him, doesn't listen to him. So he picks it up, uses it, and he's immediately demon possessed, which is, dude, it's pretty cool. It's a great story, man. It's great art. It's a great story. I'm trying to figure out who drew this. Nico Henrichen?
Henriken? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Dennis, I think this is Dennis Hopeless's first or second issue writing this.
He started with the story arc, yeah. So this is his second issue.
Okay. It's pretty really good, man. I'm actually really into it.
Yeah, I'm really into it. I was kind of I think Jason Aaron was just kind of running out his time on it, but
yeah, I feel that way too.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks we've also had Secret Empire Brave New World #2 come out, US Avengers #7, Secret Empire Underground #1, Captain America Sam Wilson #23, Secret Warriors #3, and Uncanny Avengers #24. A lot of those books were good. Some of them weren't. We just don't have time to discuss them.
You could just skip Uncanny Avengers, Secret Warriors, and Sam Wilson, because
I thought the Sam Wilson book was all right. It's just like some of them are just laying the groundwork for other things that are happening.
Mole Man.
Yeah, but it was all right.
Secret Empire Underground was okay. US Avengers, don't worry about it. So, yeah.
That US Avengers book's going somewhere, though.
That's good. I don't hate US Avengers, but if it's not really central to the major plot points of Secret Empire.
Yeah.
At least not this issue.
Yeah. And we have a new Spider-Man book. Yay.
Yeah, they're bringing back the Spectacular Spider-Man. Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man was a secondary Spider-Man title that was published mostly through the 90s.
You know, I can say this. No, man, not through the 90s. God, no. It started in the mid 70s.
Did it? Okay, I'm familiar with it from the 90s because I read it some when I was a kid.
Holy cow. I gotta get you in your age right, man. Dude. Anyway, this book starts off kind of lame. But matter of fact, this whole issue's lame. If I didn't think it was going somewhere, I'd be kind of unhappy with it. But
I was about to say, I think it's going somewhere. I think it's just laying some groundwork in this.
I can tell you, along about issue 8 or 9, not even 8 or 9, because it was like last month. So this is one, probably 6 or 7. They really do some groundbreaking stuff in this book.
That's cool.
I mean, some stuff that hasn't been done in the 50 years of Spider-Man. So this stuff's obviously going somewhere. You got Adam Kubert drawing it. So anyway, you know, it's going somewhere. It opens with Spider-Man and Johnny Storm. Then you got Ant-Man, some chick sitting on Spider-Man. I don't know what that's about.
He stopped some robbers or like muggers or something, and
I know. I
yeah,
don't care.
yeah.
I don't care.
The cool
Then he
part
comes to
was
this.
the Tinker's brother.
Yes, excuse me. I'm struggling with a cold. Who apparently every superhero knows about except Spider-Man, and he fixes Spider-Man's web shooters, and then he fixes Ant-Man stuff. You know that he didn't trust Spider-Man to do, and then Spider-Man flies commercial to Chicago, even though he's still got all his money. Then some girl hits on Johnny Storm. There you
There's
go.
a funny line about Aunt May. He talks to Aunt May on the phone about dating, and it starts getting into like, you could use that app on the phone for like relationships, but also casual. And he's like, yeah, gotta go, Aunt May, bye. And they're like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Also, you
Then
start wondering, how does Aunt May know about Tinder?
Yeah. Then at the end, there's a
She's your
backup story
husband,
where,
so
right.
is
Then
Aunt
at the
May
end,
trolling
there's
Tinder anyway? Never mind.
yeah, like over 50 people or something. Maybe Aunt May really looks like what's the girl from the movie? Melissa Torme.
Oh, well, shoot, I'd be hitting it up if it was Melissa Tomei. Like, hey, Aunt May,
Hey,
heard your
what's
husband died
up?
recently. If you ever need
What's
anything,
up? Yeah. Anything that breaks at your house, give me a call. I'll help you out.
yeah. Since your
Anyway.
since your lame nephew never around for you.
Anyway, there's a backup story where the Black Widow tests his powers, which is
I thought that was interesting. Yeah, that was
that
good.
is interesting. And she pretty well lays the smack down on the shield agent that she gives the information to. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Moving on to X-Men, we got Old Man Logan number 25. Somehow the Hulk gang is in this reality now, and Logan runs across them and kills one of them, and now they're mad. Yeah. There you go. It's good, but that's the gist of it.
Yeah, but that's better than that, man. That's a good book.
That's all I got out of it.
Dude, that's the Maestro, man. Come on.
Is it? Okay.
Dude, that's like Bruce Banner and the Maestro and the Hulk.
Yeah, but why are they here? Like, what are they doing here? And
who cares?
Why are they beating up Logan?
Dude.
I don't care.
Well, you should. that's
why? Because they had beef once. I don't.
Dude, the Maestro's like hardcore, man.
No, I understand who the Maestro is, but like, I don't know. Maybe it's going somewhere. But right now, all I know is the Hulk gang and the Maestro are in town, and they're mad at Wolverine.
You know who the Maestro is, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Tell real quick for anyone who doesn't know, who's the Maestro?
The Maestro is somebody that Peter David created from Future Imperfect, and he is like the ultimate incarnation of the Hulk because he has Bruce Banner's superior intellect and all of the Hulk's strength. He had the World Breaker strength and Bruce Banner's intellect. So he is literally the total incarnation of the Hulk.
Right. He's the best of both aspects.
Yes.
Yeah. And, and with the best of both aspects, he becomes a villain.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's completely mad and power hungry.
Yeah, he's a mad professor. He's a mad scientist with, unabatable ambition.
Yeah. Yeah, which is just man. It's good.
Okay.
I think it's good.
Maybe it's going somewhere, but it was meh for me.
Okay. X-Men Blue was kind of meh for me, but it's X-Men Blue, so I'll put it up here. You've got the Jean Grey's X-Men team fighting the Marauders from the Ultimate Universe. and when I get through, we're going to talk about all this. You got Jean Grey's X-Men team fighting the Marauders from the Ultimate Universe. James Hudson is here. And at the end, they finally defeat the Marauders, and James Hudson stays, and then Magneto's up to something with James Hudson. And there you go.
I'm trying to figure out if I read this or not. I'm sure I did. Oh yeah, they get him out of the bar, and yeah. Oh yeah, Mrs. Lady Sinister shows up, and I'm excited about that. Okay, I like Mr. Sinister, so anytime she's like Sinister from the Ultimate Universe, and she takes a liking to Jean Grey. Yeah, I'm interested in this. Where this is going. Sorry, it's been a couple weeks. I couldn't remember if I'd read it or not.
Dude, it's been like 3 weeks since I read some of these books.
Yeah, I had to go back and glance at a bunch of them.
Yeah. 2 things here. Mm-hmm. And we're getting really close to spoiler territory.
Yeah.
So if you want to skip ahead a few minutes, just knock yourself out, just take that little thing, kind of slide it along a few minutes there on your bar. Okay. First off, you mentioned the Phoenix Resurrection thing that's coming. Okay. I'm really excited about what they're doing with all the Jean Grey stuff. So, and I've read it. So anytime you see Jean Grey, young Jean Grey in a book, just read it, pay attention. That's all I'm going to say.
That's the impression I got from this book too. And I don't really know anything about the Phoenix stuff coming up, but I understand well enough to know that this young Jean Grey is very important.
I have told you, if you would read the book for the code that I've sent you, it's probably your jaw will drop open if you would read it. And I've been trying to get you to read it for a week. Okay. And issue 2 comes out tomorrow, but you haven't even read issue 1.
Okay, I'm gonna go read it. Good Lord,
dude! Holy cow! And I've got theories I want to talk about, but I can't get you to read issue 1, and I'm gonna be reading issue 2 before you read issue 1.
All right, I'll go read it.
It's a weekly book, man. Holy cow! Secondly,
yeah.
Don't we have lots of people from the Ultimate Universe popping up?
Yes,
we do. And there was a story about that today in circulating in the news.
Yep.
Did you read it?
I didn't read it. No, I didn't read that specific story, but I know what is going to happen.
Do we want to discuss it?
We'll discuss it off air.
Okay, cool. I was just like, what are they doing, man? Why are there so many people just popping up? And there's going to be more. We ain't done, man. We ain't done.
No, we're not done.
Anyway, all right,
Weapon X
brings us to Weapon X number 4. Yep.
This is the prologue issue to a crossover that's about to happen that we'll talk about here in just a minute. So the last 3 issues have dealt with all the Weapon X projects: Wolverine, Sabretooth, James, is it James?
James Hudson.
Hudson, yeah.
No.
Warpath, whatever.
Yeah, thank you.
Warpath, Lady Deathstrike, Domino, all them. They're being hunted by a resurgent Weapon X program. So now, with the help of Amadeus Cho, the Hulk, they've found one of these Weapon X facilities, and they're going to go take it out. Well, they do a lot of that, and there's a lot of destroying and so forth, and explosions and stabbing and all that. But the team at the end here has figured, hey, we put a dent in Weapon X's operations. Now let's go get the rest of them. But it looks like in reality, Weapon X just set a trap so that they could capture some of the Hulk's DNA. Also, at the end here, you find out that who's funding the Weapon X program. Well, it's Reverend William Stryker.
Yeah.
Yep. I thought the Hulk's interaction with the cyborg dying in the tank is real funny there at the beginning.
It is pretty funny. If you want to go on into WMD.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that. So Weapon X and Hulk are going to cross over. The reason, as you might have guessed from this super awesome cover, is did you like this cover? I thought it was rad.
Yes, it's pretty cool.
In fact, at the end, it shows you all the issues that you need to pay attention to get in on this crossover, and I think all the covers are pretty cool looking. Anyway, the Weapon X program is using all the Weapon X DNA that it's been able to salvage over the years to create new weapons. The twist here is they're using the Hulk DNA as well. So oh no, it's this issue where Amadeus Cho and the remnants of one of these Weapon X cyborgs are talking, and you know, he's like, oh yeah, our friend here, and the thing in the tank's just like, die mutant. And he's like, yeah, anyway, he's real friendly. So they backtrace this dude's origin, and essentially what happened is what they thought was happening was Weapon X is capturing people and experimenting on them. And you know, they go to this kid's house and they find out, you know, his mom's not so great and his home life's not great. And it turns out here at the end, and there's a lot of discussion about exactly how inhumane what Weapon X is doing to these kids. And we find out here at the end, because we saw that Reverend Stryker was leading the team here, this Weapon X team. He's essentially using his church to indoctrinate his followers, and they're volunteering for this Weapon X program to become experimented on and become weapons for essentially the Purifiers. This is the next stage of the Purifiers.
Yeah.
Also, at some point, these guys fight some Weapon X cats, which was what I enjoyed about this book is there was a nice balance of levity, but also seriousness. Because at some point they're going through the kid's phone, there's like weird texts about, no, I don't have your weed, man, leave me alone. And, you know, they're getting attacked by cyborg cats in a warehouse. But at the same time, like, you understand at the end of this book, when you see this kid talking to William Stryker, that he believes in this cause and is willing to sacrifice his body and become an experiment and to go through horrible, you know, scientific experiments to become this thing to destroy mutants. And that's heavy, man.
Yeah, it is. Okay. X-Men Gold #6. There's a pattern developing here, and this is Techno Superior Part 3. The Sentinel is a rampaging AI that is destroying New York, Manhattan. The only thing that can stop it is Rachel Gray's. Is it Rachel? Yes, Rachel Gray's psychic abilities, except she's unconscious. And what's really happening here is she has to tap into the full power of her psychic ability, and she doesn't want to. So she's talking to Franklin Storm, who I guess I know she was lovers with in her future, and she doesn't want to. And the X-Men are getting their butts kicked, and then she talks to Jean Grey, who tells her, "Hey, you got to get your stuff together," and she doesn't want to. And then she talks to Cyclops, and she's talking to all these people, and they're all telling her, "Hey, you got to let it go. You basically got to embrace the power of your mind and the power of the Phoenix." And she doesn't want to. But she finally does. She defeats the Sentinel. And at the end, somebody asks her, "Are you okay?" And the look in her eye there on page 21 lets you know that she ain't all right.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's dude. It's everywhere, man. It's that Jean Grey book that came out this week. This week being the week of 1/1. The Phoenix is coming, and ain't nobody gonna be left alive, man.
There you go.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Another book that's pretty cool.
Ultimates #8.
Ultimates #8.
Dude, this book is just so deep and heady that, you know, it's a story for a Marvel comic book reader. I mean, if you are intimately familiar with the Marvel universe, this is your book.
This is your book, man. This
Yeah.
is it.
So we get here at the beginning, we get a brief um rundown of Galactus's origin, and it's that there have been, what is it, 8 iterations of the universe.
Yes.
He is a leftover. He was the last living thing left in the 6th iteration of the universe as it was coming to an end, and he was able to survive into the next one and even the one after that, um, by becoming Galactus. That's how he became Galactus.
Yes.
So now he understands that he needs to become more powerful. So essentially, he uses the room that Owen Reese created, the Molecule Man, to transport himself across the galaxy onto Ego, the living planet. And typically, essentially, he tries to invade the planet to get to the core that is Ego. And Ego initially fights back, but now that he is no longer the Galactus the Destroyer, he's the Life Bringer. The essentially the flesh that is Ego stops fighting him. And there's a lot of exposition on how they were opposed at one point, because Ego is, of course, a living planet and Galactus eats planets, you know. But now, as we find out, Ego is the same as Galactus. He was a final living sentient being from another iteration of the universe that made its way into this one. And I guess that's just how you gain these kind of abilities, is you just, there's someone left alive at the end of every iteration of the universe and they become super powerful in the next one. That seems to be the thing here.
Yeah.
Anyway, they meet together as peers and then merge together into one, so that Ego and Galactus are now Ego Prime, and they rejoin the Infinite, the Shaper's Ghost, and the Psyhawk to wage war against whatever is chained eternity. Yes. So yeah, high concept stuff going on.
Yeah. And who's on
the next bit?
Go ahead.
Yeah, the next bit here is we have the Maker talking to somebody, making a deal with them, essentially saying, "Hey, do you want to work together? I've got some ideas. What do you think? Are you in?" And we find out it's the High Evolutionary, and they're going to work together on some projects. A little collaboration between two egomaniacal, crazy, evil scientists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude. If you aren't really familiar with a lot of these characters, you can lose some of the depth that comes from this book. But for people like you and me who have been there and seen what Galactus has done, and Ego the Living Planet, and have a lot of context for what's going on in this book, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's killer.
I'll tell you another book that's killer. And this is really good, because as we've discussed, there are different parts of the Marvel universe. You know, that's like the Marvel universe now, and that's where the Ultimates go, right?
Yeah, it goes to the highest cosmic level of the universe.
And as we move into the 616 universe, they literally took the Defenders, and it's what they did for the Netflix series, and it's what Bendis was tasked with doing with this Defender series. They were fixing to talk about Defenders #1, and said, okay, the Avengers are out there. You know, they're running around fighting Galactus and Ultron and Hydra Cap and all these people. Okay, we're going to stay right here, and we're going to fight the drug dealers and the Kingpin and all these guys.
Yeah, all right, if they're up there, we need to be down here.
We're going to be down here. And you actually sent me a text when you read Defenders #1 and said, "Did I miss something?" And I'm like, "Nope, dude, it's Bendis. It just starts.
Yeah,
It's just
Jessica Jones gets shot.
It's like the start of episode 4 of Star Wars.
Yeah,
Darth Vader's walking into a ship, and you're just like, "What I miss?" Who is this?
What's going on?
What's
Who's
happening?
this guy? That guy looks bad.
Yeah. How did I miss something? And that's how this Defenders book just starts, and it just opens, and there you go. And it opens with Diamondback. Yes, it's Diamondback being back from the dead. If you're familiar with Diamondback, he's back from the dead. If you're not, read his Wikipedia page. And he's harassing some guy because he's dealing bad drugs. And then he attacks Luke Cage. And after he gets through attacking Luke Cage, Luke finds out that he didn't just attack Luke Cage. He attacked all 4 of what would be the Defenders: Luke, Danny, Jessica, and Matt Murdock, all at the same time. And yes, he didn't attack Daredevil. He attacked Matt Murdock.
Right. Which no one's supposed to know that Matt Murdock is
Daredevil.
So...
Yeah. So they all meet up in Jessica's hospital room, and she soon wakes up. And it's this is an introductory issue. So as we go, you're being introduced to each character. And
right.
Black Cat finally meets up with Diamondback, and they're talking because everybody's Wilson Fisk is maneuvering to be the king of New York, and we're going to discuss the Kingpin book in just a moment.
Yeah. But meanwhile, Black Cat's consolidating all of the crime in New York.
Right, and she and Hammerhead are talking, and Diamondback's making a move, and she wants him to be with her, and the whole time, the Defenders are tearing the city apart trying to find him. Y'all forgive me for that. And she's like, you don't know what you've done. And he's like, sure I do. And Cage shows up, and he puts Luke Cage down pretty easy.
Yep.
He puts him down pretty easy. There's also a funny scene here where Daredevil was just beating people up in a bar, and Danny's like, I think he's
just doing this for himself now.
Yeah, he's just doing this for fun. So we're just gonna sit here and drink while he does it. And Jessica's sitting there drinking brews, and Danny's sitting there drinking water, and they're just kind of talking it over while Daredevil's beating people up. Yeah, and dude, Diamondback puts Daredevil down or Luke Cage down pretty easy. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of that happening. If you read that Luke Cage book, he gets taken down pretty easy too.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a good book, man.
I'm interested to see where it goes. I hate it's getting canceled.
Well, it's understandable with Brian Michael Bendis being both sick and leaving Marvel.
Yeah, he's leaving, and then he, almost dropped dead. So,
yeah,
and still recovering. I think he's still blind in his left eye.
Dude, he is not well.
No, he's recovering okay, but it's going to be a while before he's back to himself. So I think this was a way of Marvel saying, hey, we're just going to take this off your plate.
Yeah.
We'll relaunch the Defenders again. And it'll be okay. Anyway, Kingpin #5. Yeah, so the girl that's been writing this book for Kingpin finds out what it really is to work for the Kingpin. And how this dance is done. And she tries to keep her boxer boyfriend from throwing the fight, which is what Wilson wants him to do. By the way, in one of these scenes, one of the pictures is in the background is a poster for Matt Murdock's dad versus the guy that he was supposed to throw the fight in that got him killed. And spoiler alert, dude actually doesn't throw the fight, but loses anyway. And they don't explicitly say what happens, but I think you're left with the idea that they kill that guy. I think. Isn't that what's going on?
I really don't know. And what happens at the end of this book, man?
It jumps ahead 6 months, and she's a big hotshot writer in New York now with 2 kids because she wrote the book that is The Life and Times of Wilson Fisk, which is selling like hotcakes.
So she sold out.
Yeah.
She basically sold out and became the Kingpin's lackey and gave up her morals and everything for money. Is that what we're talking about?
My guess is they assassinated that dude, and with that, that's all that that was the only thing that was holding her back was him
Yeah.
and how she felt for him. So you know what? Why not?
Okay.
I also think the impression I get is that somehow she publishes the book and she didn't expect it to become a runaway success, and it's number one on the New York Times bestsellers or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, it's been a really good book, and I know what's going to happen with Kingpin later on, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah. So we got all these books. We got 50 books, right?
Yeah.
And I read Gwenpool 17.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, by the way, the stuff we're discussing right now, if it made the list, it was worth talking about. The rest of it, even if it wasn't awful, we just didn't mention it because we had 50 books to talk about.
We're going to read the Also Rans in a minute. And there's some good books in the Also Rans.
So yeah.
If I'm taking time to discuss Gwenpool 17, which got canceled this week.
Yeah.
Somewhere they did something right. Did you read this?
Actually, no, I didn't. But now I'm going to.
Thumb through it with me.
Okay.
It'll kind of spoil it for you. Well, we're going to talk about it, so it's going to get spoiled anyway.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Give me a second to find it.
She realizes that she's still in the comic book, even after last issue. So she's trying to figure out how she is and isn't in the comic book. So on page 11, she starts talking to herself in a word bubble. Except the word bubble keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The problem is the word bubble's in her room with her. And the word bubble shoves her out the window of her room, which is on the 3rd story. Okay, so on page 12, the word bubble that's in the comic book, which is in her room, shoves her out the 3rd story window, and she hits the ground. Okay, dude, she hits the ground in reality. All right. She winds up with a broke arm, cuts, scrapes. She went through glass, okay? And she winds up in the psychiatric hospital because her parents think she threw herself out a window, all right? Everybody thinks she's crazy, all right? Because they're convinced she dove out a window.
Right.
All right? They want to put her on drugs, but, in her reality, all right, this word bubble threw her out the window. Well, everybody else thinks she's suicidal. Dude, that's good writing, man. So
okay, keep going.
Yeah, so then she's sitting there and she's like, I'm not crazy. And everybody's like, yeah, you are. Okay, you need to deal with it. So she's like, I'm really not. So as she's sitting there in the hospital bed, she starts fooling around with the panels on the rest of the page. Because she knows she's not crazy. And as you thumb through the book, she starts fooling with all the panels and all the pages.
Yeah, I mean, her friend hands her a notepad and a pen and is like, you know what to do with this. And she starts messing. She erases one of the panels and goes into the other one.
Yeah, until you get to the last page.
Talking to herself across panels.
Yeah, until you get to the last page where she has literally leapt out of the panels and is on top of the panels. And she's like, oh, God, what do I do now?
Yeah, you're really playing with the idea of breaking the fourth wall and knowing you're in a comic book.
Yeah, but the question here is she crazy? Or is she really,
is this really happening?
Is this really happening? I don't know. I
don't know either. That's the whole concept. But one of the Deadpool themes has always been that he breaks the fourth wall and knows that he's in a comic, and this is just taking that another step further.
Yeah, there's a we're gonna next week we'll talk about Deadpool Punisher number 5, and Deadpool's laying there. He and Frank are fighting, and he's just babbling at some point, and Frank's like, "Dude, is this an act, or are you really crazy?" And he realizes even Deadpool doesn't know.
Yeah.
If Frank just stops hitting him for a minute, the Punisher just stops hitting him for a minute because he doesn't even know. That Deadpool doesn't know. Frank Castle doesn't know. Nobody even knows at this point. Who is he crazy? Is he not crazy? Nobody knows, man. What is who knows? And Frank kind of has mercy on him for a moment because he's just, dude, he just kind of feels sorry for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So, the last book, The Mighty Thor number 20. Many moon ago, at the end of Secret Wars, a hammer, the hammer of the ultimate Thor from Marvel Universe number 1610, was thrown from Battle World and landed on Asgard.
That's the Ultimate Universe for anyone who
That's the
doesn't
Ultimate
know.
Universe. That's what I said. The Ultimate Universe landed on Asgard. For 5 issues of Unworthy Thor, we saw Odin's son fighting for that hammer. We saw many heroes and villains fighting for that hammer. And Odin's son chose not to pick the hammer up. Someone else walked up and looked at it and said, no, I'm not going to pick it up. In this issue, on the cover of this issue, we see who will finally pick the hammer up. So this issue begins in the land of the dwarfs, where we see the Warriors 3 and Volstagg. They're in a battle, and basically there's a bunch of kids that, and I'm gonna make this short because I think we're reaching the 1.5 hour mark.
Yeah. Who's Santa Claus here?
I don't even know.
Some dude. His name is Stonefoot, and he looks like Santa Claus. Anyway.
Yeah. So Volstagg is trying to save these kids, and he's carrying them. And there's a conversation between it's actually pretty important between God, I just forgot her name. Jane Foster, and Odin's son, and they're trying to reconcile things because they hadn't been getting along. And so what happens is Volstagg is trying to save these kids from this fire demon. And what is this fire demon's name? I'm not even sure he has a name. But dude, he doesn't make it. And he burns up. And I'm not sure he comes out of it sane. Okay? Because as you read it, for the rest of his days, he's going to remember burning and being on fire like that. Okay? Basically, he's going to remember burning. It's kind of like being in hell. Okay? He's going to remember being on fire and burning like that for the rest of his life. But you know what he's also going to remember? He's ticked off at somebody. And he knows where a hammer is, and he's going to get it, and he's going after somebody, and he's going to stomp them. And he goes and gets that hammer, and he becomes the War Thor, and he's going back to stomp out somebody, man. I'm not even sure he's in his right mind, but he's worthy, and he's going to get him, brother. Because that picture on page 20 shows you where, what condition he's in.
Yeah, and then on page 22, he picks up that hammer.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's a good read.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I haven't been super impressed with Thor lately, so I quit reading it, and now I'm going to pick it back up again.
Okay, I'm going to run through the also rans for the week of 12/18. You tell me if there's something you want to talk about here.
All right.
We have all new Wolverine 21, Spider-Man Renew Your Vows number 8, Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider number 3. That was actually pretty good.
Couldn't read Renew Your Vows, and couldn't read Black Panther and the Crew, but that all new Wolverine book is actually really good.
Gen X number 3, Hulk number 7, Miss Marvel number 19,
Miss Marvel number 19 was good if you're a Miss Marvel fan.
Star Wars number 32, Thanos number 8. That Thanos number 8's good. Yet another Phoenix book. Squirrel Girl number 21, Venom number 151, Vision Director's Cut number 1.
Yeah, that Vision Director's Cut's good. I mean, if you like the extra stuff, it's there. The thing's 80 pages long, and it's only the first 3 or 4 issues of
2.
Is it 2 issues?
It is the first 2. If you want to know how a comic book is made,
read this.
Read it from the writing to the drawing to the inking. That's how a comic book is made.
Yeah, Tom King's initial pitch is in the back of it, along with a lot of concept art and like You really learn how the sausage gets made if you read the.
Oh, I didn't know his pitch was in there. I want to go back and read that.
Oh, for real? I thought that's what you were referencing. No, the whole pitch is there.
I was mainly looking at the art and some of the notes. I didn't know his whole pitch was in there.
Oh, dude, yeah, the whole pitch is there.
Oh, okay.
It's like 10 pages. It's like 10 pages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Venom's is whatever, Squirrel Girl's whatever, Thanos is good. Star Wars it's the Star Wars book. It's not bad.
I got caught up in a lot of the Star Wars books over the holidays.
Oh, did you? Okay, cool.
Yeah, that Darth Vader book is good.
Yeah, the first issue I was like, I don't know, but the second one was really good, and this is what I was really hoping this would be is Darth Vader #2, and this whole Darth Vader series is just going to be Darth Vader hunting Jedi.
Yeah, yeah, and that dude that he's going to fight looks pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's long been established that after, because this is when the Darth Vader book takes place, that after he became Darth Vader in the early times between the transition from the Republic to the Empire, Vader spent 5 to 10 years just hunting down Jedi. And in one of the video games, it's what he's doing. And the guy that you see at the end of this comic book is an awful lot like that guy.
Huh.
So, yeah, but that's what I wanted. I just wanted Darth Vader hunting Jedi. And that's what we're getting.
There you go. Week of 12/25. You get that Darth Vader #2. America #4. Daredevil 22.
It's good. America 4 is good. I just don't think I'm the audience for that book, but it's a good book.
Yeah, Daredevil 22, which is good.
Very good.
Man-Thing #5. Nick Fury #3. Royals #4. That Royals book is actually getting kind of interesting. We'll discuss it when issue 5 comes along. It's getting pretty good. Silver Surfer #12, Spider-Man 2099, 24, All New Guardians of the Galaxy #4, Star Wars Darth Maul #4, and Poe Dameron Annual #1.
America was good. Daredevil 22 is really good. I have loved that thing since issue #1. Charles Soule's killing it in Daredevil. Man-Thing was an atrocity. Whoever decided to go with that story and whoever edited it should be fired. And I'm disappointed in R.L. Stine for making it. Nick Fury #3 is good. I don't know about Royals. I didn't read it. Silver Surfer was fine. That book's coming to an end in a couple issues, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2099 is whatever. Also getting canceled soon. Guardians of the Galaxy was whatever. Darth Maul was good if you've enjoyed that series so far. It's not the heavy hitter that the main Star Wars title has been, but it's pretty good. And Poe Dameron was okay too. It's an annual, but it's really just another issue in the story of Poe Dameron. The Poe Dameron is also a book that's ending, but it is ending because the story's been told. You know, it was on the chopping block too, but understand this Poe Dameron story that is happening in this comic was always meant to be the lead up to what happens to him in Force Awakens. Like you read this comic book, and when it ends in its last issue in a couple issues, it will be where you pick up with him in Force Awakens.
Yeah.
It was always meant to end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a bunch of stuff in the dump too. It was there.
All kinds of 70s stuff. I tell you what, I wasn't going to discuss this because it was at the top. I'm going to cover it real quick. In your browse section, you can browse by, and I'm going to open this real quick. There's a section there that says browse by date. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can actually do, and I didn't realize this, okay? Browse by publication date, to and from. What you can do is take that thing and tell it to say, give me all the comics that were published in May of 1965. And it'll put them up there. Put them up there in chronological order. I didn't
realize you could do that.
No. So what you can actually do is start Fantastic Four #1 in 1963 and read forward.
Yeah, and literally read everything.
Read everything. And they're in the last few dumps, we've gotten some Moon Knight books. We've gotten some Captain Marvel books. I forget what else has been in there, but it's all been old 70s stuff filling in these gaps. I did not realize you could do that. So you can literally read that. You can set those dates and read that thing forward. Because I was kind of reading. I set it around the time I started reading comic books and just looked at what was in there. And my Marvel Team Up books still aren't in there, but there's some other stuff in there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but if you know of something that was published in a certain date and you put that in to see if that's a good way to find out if something is there.
Yeah. If you know the year, you just stick it in there. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys, that was a whole lot. So we're going to go. If you want to hit us up at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com. A lot of stuff there. I'm putting it up as fast as I can.
Cool. And like always, do you have some wisdom for our true believers?
Here's your wisdom. If you have it at the beginning, type it in so you don't forget it, because I forgot it.
All right. Dude, see you guys next week.
I had it. It was funny, and I plumb forgot it, man. It was like 2 hours ago. I don't know what it Lethal Weapon's on tonight, man. Go watch Lethal Weapon. It's a great show. Peace.
All right.